I'm doing this to bring a message across and to really to say something, to say what I have on my mind, and that also means talking about, things that maybe are a little bit unpopular to talk about. For example, in my latest single, "Fading Away," the video tells the story of this ballet dancer. Who Arena, who basically came from Kiev to Milan. She was supposed to be there only for 2 weeks for like a stage at the academy, ballet academy, and then the war broke out in Ukraine, and she wasn't able to go back, and she still lives in Milan today.
It's so great to meet you here on Zoom.
Yeah, thank you. How did you find me? Actually, I was curious.
You just appeared on my news feed on Instagram.
Okay.
That's how I find most artists that I speak to.
So these things work.
It works. Yeah. And I believe the right people come on my way, so I just go with the flow. So, but you're originally from Italy.
No, so my parents are both German, actually. But I was born in Luxembourg, and then when I was 18, I moved to the UK. So I lived in London for quite a while, for 10 years, pretty much, a bit more actually. And then I was living in Italy for a bit, and then I was living in Paris for a bit, and then I was living in Berlin for quite a long time. And then the music brought me back to Italy, where now I am. I've been living here for quite a while now. So I always really I followed the music, or wherever I had projects or something, I went. And in fact, that for me was also, that's why I think I'm a bit obsessed with this whole concept of home. That's why I also called my album Home, because as when I was growing up in Luxembourg, I was the German, but I never really felt German, and because when I went to Germany, I was the Luxembourgish guy, So
yeah.
I had since I was very small. I think I had this problem, let's say, of belonging. I also went to an international school, and there, I got really curious about other cultures and other nationalities and stuff, and so it was a bit of an, don't want to say an obsession, but I was quite intrigued by this whole feeling of belonging to some country or something like that, because I never really had that. And so that's why I think wherever I moved to, I kind of affiliated with the football team of the town. Because that was a way of feeling,
that makes sense.
Part of the city, I think. And now that I live here in Milan, because here I have my family now. I have 2 kids here, and circumstances just made that I've kind of been settling here now. And but it wasn't really I think it's from the moment where I stopped looking, that I realized that I actually found a home, and my home is really where I can make my music. I think that's, for me, that is the concept of home has become the music, and so therefore. To call my album Home was just a logic consequence of that.
If you try and you're living it up, don't know why, but you're keeping it up. You go on, you're alive, you belong. You're the one and you know where you're from. If you fall, but you always get up. You stand tall, you're not giving it up. Don't waste it, don't throw this away. Soon I will be right here with you, right here with you.
Well, now I also know why you came on my way, because this has been a topic for a few interviews now that I did, where we talk about roots, and where we come from, and how that really shapes us, or that takes, wherever you go is somewhere where you reroot then yourself. And I can absolutely relate with that, what you're saying, because actually my mum is Afrikaans, my dad is German, and I've lived in England and Austria. So it's sort of this whole mixture of cultures that I adjust to all the time. But yeah, that's what you said on Instagram, what I heard about you talking about home and your single. It really resonated with me.
Okay, interesting. But do you think that has that been a problem for you, or do you embrace this? Is it a positive thing? This kind of need to sort of have a belonging or have a home or something like that. Do you think that's problematic, or do you think
I
it's a
don't think necessarily problematic. The more I think of it, although the more I have to adjust to these different places, that I really understand the roots have an effect on how I adjust, or I can see I can see the benefits of having grown up in South Africa, how that also makes me then adjust to these circumstances, or I think that those things bring something different to people who have grown up here and do things here. So maybe I think when we are sort of put in different countries or in different cultures, we take that and make it's like a new salad, like you make something new of it.
I agree. I talked about this with a friend the other day, and he actually said he asked me where I want to be buried. It's a bit dark, but where I want to be buried one day, right? And he said because that's the place that for you feels like that's your home. You want to be
Yeah.
buried in your home. And I actually thought about it, and I'm not sure, to be honest right now. Like I don't know if it would be in Luxembourg where I was born, or if it would be now in Italy where I live and where my family is. Probably, to be honest, probably it would be Italy by now.
But I think by that time you will know. I think it will be. Uh, I don't. I don't look so far ahead. I just realized also in the time that time sometimes give you answers, so you don't have to think about it too much. But your music, as I read also that you are self-taught, that you just took up the music and taught yourself, and that's I found so wonderful when artists do that. I also appreciate when they get education for it, but I love these self-taught things because I'm also a self-taught person.
Okay.
Learning
But
by doing.
to be honest, I think today I wouldn't say I regret, but like so basically this happened because when I was young, I was always drawn like to the music. I think is a bit fault of my parents as well because they were listening to music all the time. Like there was always music in our house, and so I took like piano lessons. When I was quite young. I started when I was 6 or 5 or something, and then I did that for quite a while until I realized that when then we started to have to learn, certain pieces or something like that that maybe I didn't really like, or
Oh yeah.
uh, I started to feel that it was a bit like school, and I didn't. I mean, not that I didn't like school, but school is all. There's a lot of obligations, obviously, and you have to do them. There's nothing you can do about it. Whereas in music, I always felt that it was something that gave me freedom in a way. And so to be restricted in that area as well, I kind of found it frustrating. And so I basically left the lessons and I started the guitar by myself. I mean, and then I continued piano by myself. But to be honest, and that, yes, it was good in a way because it kind of taught me to get away from scales and from maybe I would write things very instinctively, and that I let in everything that was in terms of like inspiration from elsewhere, let's say, and that's certainly a good thing. But then during this period, the last 10 years, sort of, I kind of found that I found myself a bit limited in my songwriting, especially because I always go to the same things. After a while, what you can do, and but the horizon is only this big, whereas it is
Yeah.
actually bigger out there. There is a lot more, and so I started relearning really, and I find that at my age now, it's actually a beautiful thing because there's so much out there that I can learn in music, or that even the best musicians, in the world, they still have a lot to learn because music is
Yeah.
so vast, and I find that to be hugely inspiring also in general for life. I think if you have that, and I'm sure you can relate to that, if you have a passion, and there's things you can explore still in your passion, that gives you a reason to get up in the morning, right? So even if you have difficult periods, that's something that will always be there, and so I'm super grateful for that, actually.
Yeah, but I think there's we need both
Mhm.
sides.
Yeah,
We need really people who are taking, who are studying the music up to, some of the musicians that I speak to, they are really into understanding every single little thing about it. And then we need also artists who go with just inspiration from where they are or who they are, because I think it brings also something different. It
absolutely.
lifts the restrictions almost. And I think I spoke to a young pianist who said that he felt that he felt more free because he started off teaching himself, and there was a period where he sort of did his own thing and then studied, and that gave him some sort of freedom to explore things in a different way. And I think that really is also something to consider.
No, absolutely. I completely agree. And especially in popular music, I come across every day musicians, very talented musicians that often are much, better, let's say, in their musical skills than myself. But then when it comes to songwriting, they are often somehow limited, although they have a
Yeah,
big arsenal of things to do, and they can go different paths to reach a melody, but they somehow, because I think maybe, I'm not sure, but maybe they find it a bit frustrating, because popular music is, I mean, everything has been done before in a way, so they might find it a bit uh, too basic, pop songs or something, and so the sort of feelings which, I mean, music is all about emotion, right? And popular music,
yeah.
if you connect to a song, it doesn't matter how many chords are in there. It can be two chords or one chord, and if somehow the musician or the person that wrote the song or was inspired and was able to communicate that inspiration and that emotion, that's what counts, and that's what music is about. And often these virtuosos in music, they find that a bit a bit too basic, and so
Yeah.
they find it they find it more difficult to communicate in that way, and so that is limiting as well. So I think you're right. Probably when I was younger, to not have, or to basically cancel out all this theory, of music in the beginning. Maybe that helped me a little bit because it did open, as we said before, it did open my ears and my mind, to the more to the spiritual side of music, let's say, or the emotional
Exactly.
side of music,
Yeah.
which is what it's all about. I mean, I think that really is what music is all about. That's the big power of music, is that, like, I will never forget when I was. Because when I was younger, I played a lot of tennis, so I was going around in a lot of international tournaments, and I remember there was a song, sort of when the first times you're in love, at that
Yeah.
age, you
Yeah.
call it love. And I remember this one song that I would always listen to, and that would make me think about this particular girl. And then I come in, then after a year, I completely forgot about it and everything, and never, and then I was at this tournament, and I was in the cafe just before playing, and this song came on the radio, and that song, which I hadn't heard for a year, and I felt exactly the same way as a year before, but not just felt, like I could smell the things I would, that it would
Oh,
just. And that was
yeah.
the first time where I thought, my God, this is like, music can really alter. it can really transport you. It can get you to other places, and that that was the first time I felt that, and yeah, so I think that's what music is all about, really.
Absolutely. I mean, I was a teenager in the 80s and late 70s and 80s. And if I hear these songs now on the radio, I'm transported exactly. I know exactly where I was. I can, you can put
sometimes you
yourself.
even remember things. Like you listen to a certain song and you remember things that, maybe.
And people, yeah.
Completely forgot about. And even if you'd think about it and you'd think hard about something like that, you wouldn't remember. But then music somehow has the key of certain doors that are completely locked, So yeah, it's fascinating.
But I spoke to a jazz musician a while ago, and we talked about jazz, the origins of jazz, and how these people really, handmade instruments, really went with their feeling, and they didn't have music education, and it came from the situation where they were, and the emotions that were there. And then you find also musicians who are really very well trained and excellent at what they do, but they can't improvise. So that's also that factor that I think I wonder sometimes of, because of all this rigid playing or practicing or studying or knowing everything about it, makes you not comfortable to break those rules a little bit and go outside from where you know is the right way to play it.
Completely agree. And that's why often also virtuosos, they are a little bit frustrated with what is going on today, and in popular music, where it's true that, I mean, obviously when we were young, it was a little bit different, right? I mean, today I think too many songs today are written between the same songwriting teams, and where the scope is less about what we're talking about, the spiritual or emotional side about music, and it's more just about numbers and reaching certain goals, right? Which when I was young, I mean, I don't want to sound like like a frustrated grandpa, but like when I was young, I met up with my friends because we wanted to be together, and we made music together because it was fun, right? And yes, obviously, we also thought, wow, it would be great if one day this band would become famous and we could live of that. But that wasn't the main drive, right? Our drive was just to be together and to be able to play, and and that often, I think, today, and I see that because I work a lot with young musicians, and sometimes that aspect is lost, and it's not really their fault, because it's just society has gone in that direction. Because even about like when I was young, you could play anywhere, really. I mean, you could play any pub or any bar or any club. There was so many places that would want people to play. Today, I mean, it's difficult. People say it's easier because on the internet it's easier to reach public, but I don't think so. I think it's more difficult today for young people.
Well, you can tell me, I might be wrong, but my philosophy about this is that in art you have to have to originally you have the love for what you do, but there is a point where you sort of strive to become somebody, or to do the most famous work or whatever. But then that's sort of the drive. But then there comes a point where an artist realizes that that's not the point of art, and that the point is really to touch somebody, or to make music that is not to be famous, but it's making music that makes sense, or that speaks, or that changes opinions, or and I wonder sometimes if young people are bombarded today with these icons, like, you have to be famous, you have to have so many followers, you have to do these venues, but that this point of losing those small audiences, like you say, going into a bar and singing and really touching people, that's missing.
Absolutely, I completely agree. It's also a bit the time, I realized that already at a young age today, as you say, that you get bombarded with so many things that you don't really have time. Time has become the big luxury. Like I remember when some albums would come out, I would literally go to the music shop, get the CD, go home, or the vinyl, and just listen from the beginning to the end of an album and enjoying it and looking at the booklet and looking at who produced it and who plays on what track and who wrote which song and listening to the songs, reading the lyrics and stuff like that. And yeah, I think today, there's the internet, there's so many other things that that as you say, you get bombarded with, so that there's just there's less time for that, I think, or people want to. I mean, this I don't really know if people are missing that really, or like do they actually want to spend more time on music? That's why also for me this album is how should I say, as it's my solo project, I don't really have to think. I mean, I'm responsible for this and I'm the only one responsible for this, really. I mean, although obviously as every album it's a teamwork, I've got a label, I've got my friends and who produced it with me and who wrote some songs with me, but at the end of the day it's my name's on the album, and so I'm responsible for it. And therefore I really enjoyed this process of not thinking about these logics of the market or whatever, or just if this album does well, I'm obviously happy. I won't deny that. That would be ridiculous. But if it doesn't do well, it doesn't really matter, because as you said before, I'm doing this to bring a message across and to really to say something, to say what I have on my mind, and that also means talking about things that maybe are a little bit unpopular to talk about. For example, in my latest single, "Fading Away," the video tells the story of this ballet dancer who basically came from Kiev to Milan. She was supposed to be there only for 2 weeks for like a stage at the academy, ballet academy. And then the war broke out in Ukraine, and she wasn't able to go back. And she still lives in Milan today. Because of a chance meeting with actually the wife of the producer of the video. That's why we then wanted to tell that story in the video. And so, these things today, I mean, artists always, I don't really know why, but they don't really take position, on certain things. And I think that's vital for an artist. I mean, otherwise, what do you talk about? So yeah, that's why. But if I would have done this in a different situation, maybe with a band, with maybe like a huge record company, and where it's all about the numbers and stuff, they would have maybe said, yeah, let's not talk about the war. It's a bit too heavy a subject. Just be light, and so that we can. But fair enough. I understand that as well, because obviously the market is what it is, and so But me for that, at least for that project, which I can have control over, I really want to do what I feel, and if that means that there's less people listening to it or paying attention to it because maybe they have less time, as we said, or they want to make less time for that, then so be it.
Well, I applaud you for that attitude, really, because I think this is so important that you, like you say, art is there for us to speak and to listen and to hear it in different ways. People take it up in a different way. And it shouldn't be about the numbers. It shouldn't be about what sells. It should really be about what is created and what is the message around that.
Yeah, of course, one could also say, it's a bit easier for me to talk like this because I am in the music by now and I've lived for music all my life. So, um, for someone who's struggling and who has to have, like I had before, I had to work, I had to do other jobs to be able to do music. There maybe it's more understandable if you adapt more to the market, right? And you try to, I don't know, but I think what I fear is that you can tell that in the music, you can, I mean, at least I can, I think most of the times I can tell if a song was written, between the same five songwriters who are responsible for most of the hits in the charts. And with me, it's more difficult that it resonates rather than maybe a song that someone wrote because it just came out like that, and he didn't say, okay, I'm gonna have to write a song now because I haven't written a song for a month, and nothing's been on. I haven't done any stories on my Instagram or something, so I need to post something, and I need to, I think
Yeah.
I think you can tell, the genuine, but I mean that works also with, like, for example, Coldplay, right? Which is a band that the first album I absolutely loved, but I still think that today, although they have certainly, adapted, and they've been very, smart about it as well, but there's still something genuine in the songwriting of Chris Martin. So I still appreciate Coldplay a lot because although they have, as I said, they have changed, their sound has changed over the years, which is also, something respectable if you change, but there is still an essence, that I think is genuine, and that sort of thing is really appreciated by the people. And I think also you can tell with, Oasis, who have been for me very inspiring when I was growing up, the amount of people that I have tried to get, on this reunion dates of them, that just shows you, I think, that because it's also young people, it's not just nostalgic, it's also a lot of young, because they have a lot of listeners on Spotify as well. I think that, there is this feeling that people want to hear something genuine, and I think, Oasis were, they are just what they are. I mean, even if you go and see them on stage, there's nothing's really happening. I mean, Liam stands there, doesn't move. Noel stands there, doesn't move. They just play the songs, and the songs, they have something that touched people, and that still touches people, and that's what it's all about.
Yeah, but you know a lot about the music industry and get to in contact with a lot of young musicians and singers. But don't you think it's, if you talk about these bands with their longevity, don't you think it's because where they really started with small audiences? They really started out playing in bars. Those days we didn't have the internet or social media to put yourself out there, but that younger artists now are in a hurry to get there, but they don't understand that it takes time and it takes hours and it takes, working with this audience that you have, say in a bar. Or if you take the Beatles, for example, they were in Liverpool playing in bars, so they didn't have the world initially to listen to them, where now there's sort of a rush to get there. It's sort of a rush for younger artists to get the numbers and get the fame. They want the fame.
Yeah, absolutely. I completely agree. But it still goes that it boils down to, the what you write, and what your songs are about, what you put into your songs, right? Because I think it could also be that somebody, maybe someone who's very talented, he doesn't even have to do all that thing, doesn't have to play 600 gigs before doing something important, but it's still very important what you put in your songs. And I think that again, you're right that people want to rush things because that's just the way it is today. and people should see more the, when I think back of my on my career now, I was thinking that the other day. To be honest, the most beautiful days were probably the beginnings, when I hadn't made it yet. I was, when we decided with my friends from home, that we should move to London, because that's where things were happening. Like, being from Luxembourg, there's really not much happening in terms of music wise. And so we moved to London. I mean, we all lived together in a small house. All five of us. We got up in the mornings and went to work in this place which we all hated. We all worked together. Then we came back home and we played, every day. And then in the evenings we would drive to the gigs, and then we would come back at 2, 3 in the morning, and we would get up and go to work, and just do this thing. And it was actually great. And yes, as I said before, we did have, by that time we had the drive also to say we really want to make it. But it was more, we want, not because we want to be famous, but because we want to be able to not do the day jobs that we had to do before, meet in the evening and then do the music, but just to be able to do music all the time, because that's what made us feel good. And to be honest, all the things we did in that period was the most beautiful time, because it was about what we were doing, and not really where we were going. And so yeah, that aspect today is more difficult, as I said, because there's less chances to do that in public, right? Because, as we said, there's much less opportunities for people to just play, and also for people to. I mean, do you today? Okay, you and me, we might do that, but how many people today go to a bar and want to see a band that they've never heard of? Unfortunately, that thing also has changed in the public as well. To be fair, so it's not just the barman who wants to make money because he needs to pay the rent for his bar. And so if there are people, okay, but if it's a band that is not famous and they only bring 3 people, then he doesn't. Fair enough. All these things are valid points as well. But I think it's about the passion, right? It's about what you feel when you do music, and that can be music, and that can be sports, and that can be anything. And if that is genuine, I think you have a chance to be able to do that all your life.
But do you still play in a band, or are you just completely solo?
No, I do. In fact, so just to complete this picture. So after we moved to London, we started then with this band that started working. So I got the first record deals and stuff like that. It was all very indie. So just all about like touring and stuff like that. And then I moved to Berlin, and at some point I met my ex-manager, actually, then got me this gig at this band called Planet Funk, who is like a big, let's say, electronic act, although it's all about songs, and so it's a bit of, it's difficult to describe the style. The biggest song that is "Chase the Sun," which has become a bit of an anthem in the dance music. But it's all played music, right? So it was already quite modern at the time, because it was combining, let's say, a lot of musical styles, which at the time was rare, really. And so I think I can say that when I got into that band, I really felt that I had made it, right? Because there I went from playing gigs in front of 2,000 people to playing in front of 50,000 people in stadiums, and tours in Russia and everything, and all over the world. And so things have really changed there. And that band I'm still in. It's a particular band because it's a bit of a collective, really. If so everybody in that band does other things as well. We have Alex Neri, for example, who's a big DJ, so he's got his DJ stuff. Marco and Gigi are producers. Dan, who's the other singer, let's say, in the band, because there's a few of us that are singing over the years. He has his solo project, and he's a producer as well. And so we all have our outlets, let's say, and then when we come together, we do our music again, and that's something that I think for all of us, it really feels a bit like a family, because it's been so long together, and when we see each other again, it's always really nice, and we all have a lot to tell each other. What has happened since. It's just complicated to actually get together, as we have a lot of other projects going on.
Okay.
But I think we all need that outlet, being together, and we also need the things that we do, as individuals, and that just enriches everything. Obviously, it's complicated to get there, to get to live this experience to the maximum. You also need to sort of put your ego a little bit aside, because for that project, it's a team, right? And then, when I do my solo project, I can more, think about, can get my ego back on, and then so that works perfectly. But yes, so to answer your question, I am still in Planet Funk as well, and we have actually an album ready, and so that will come out next year, and so there will be touring and everything with Planet Funk as well. Yeah.
Okay, so when you do the touring, then your solo projects have to be put on the side a little bit.
Yeah,
or,
absolutely. Yeah. But yeah, that's as I said, it's really no problem. It's more, to find the moments where we are all available to. To meet up and write new music, that is more difficult than anything else.
Well, I also read that you have a restaurant in Berlin.
Mm-hmm.
So you are and you do so many things. So tell me about the love for restaurants.
Well, that goes back to my love for Italy, really, and for Naples, which is a city that has inspired me all my life, really. I mean, my first girlfriend was from Naples. My current partner, she's from Naples. My band Planet Funk is a project that is born in Naples, so I had lived there as well. And even when I went to university in the UK, I lived with 4 Neapolitans as well for some reason. So yeah, Naples has always been super present in my life, and so also the love for pizza was, obviously the real pizza comes from Naples, and so when I lived in Naples,
I'm with you there.
when I lived in Naples, I after that I found it very difficult to eat pizza, because I always thought of the pizza in Naples, and I was like, it's completely different. It's so much better there. So why would I eat something that's not as good here? Until I was in Berlin one day, and the husband of the sister of my partner, he was the pizzaiolo in that restaurant, and so I said to him that evening, I said, look, I mean, when I ate your pizza, it was like being in Naples all over again, and so if ever you want to do your own pizzeria, please let me know, because I'd be super interested to do that with you. And 2 years later, he called me and he said, I'm ready now. I'd like to do my own place. Like, should we do this? And so I went to Berlin, and at that time I didn't live in Berlin anymore, but I still knew it quite well. And so there was a place that I had, seen, which was, beautiful. And then the guy said he was leaving and everything. And so we took that place and we did Futura, and it's still going, and it's actually won quite a few prizes as well. For the pizza. So yeah, that's another. I wouldn't say that's my passion, but but pizza is definitely something I absolutely love. And so I always, I don't know why, maybe when I was young, my dad used to say to me, okay, I know that you want to do music and everything, and that's fine, do it, but you always need a plan B, because you never know with how things are going. And so all my life I've been doing plan B and plan C and plan D and all that stuff. And so it's become also a bit of a habit. Like, I need like satisfaction, let's say, every day also in my work life. So that's why I do different things and more things. And I have problems to switch off my brain in the evenings. That's why I don't sleep too well, unfortunately. But yeah, I think I'm in this, and I have this habit now of doing a few things, and the pizza is one of those things that I do, and that I do enjoy. Yeah.
But that just proves also that cuisine is a form of art, because I mean, like you say, pizza. Not everybody can make the right pizza, and or the pizza that it's supposed to taste like. So there is definitely something in there that it is an art form. It is how you do it.
But that's the pizzaiolis in Naples, they have historically they have a very important standing in the community. The pizzaiolo is the one who kind of saved, also during the pandemics and during the bad times in cholera and everything in Naples. I mean, they are historically very important figures, and also today they are, in any restaurant, in any pizzeria, the pizzaiolo is the one who earns the most because he's the artist. He's the and it should be that a good pizzaiolo forms his team so that when he doesn't work, the pizza still tastes good, but it won't taste exactly the same because it's about the hands, right? It's a manual art, as you say. And so, yeah, absolutely, I completely agree with that.
Now, tell me also about another project that I see. You are the musical producer. Is it of The Voice?
Director, actually.
A director of The Voice.
Yeah, of The Voice here in Italy. I've been doing that for 7 years now. I think I enjoy it because it kind of brings me back to because as I said in my band in Planet Funk, as we don't see each other all the time, the practice side of just jamming, I don't really have anymore. And as I was so used to that when I was younger, as I told you before, like after work we would just play every day. We would just jam, and so I did find myself missing that. And then the nice thing about The Voice is that as I am responsible for the band, because The Voice is a talent that has, I don't know if you know, but there's a live band basically.
Oh yeah.
The songs are played live, and so we have to arrange the songs, and so that's my main work there is that really is to be together with the band and arrange the songs, and so that's what I enjoy most of that experience.
And how involved are you with the young artist that's performing?
Yeah, actually quite a lot because we at the moment we do The Voice Kids, so that they are from 7 to 14 years old, and so daily really. So I talk to daily. I try to help. And pass on a little bit of my experience because I kind of coach them because they practice then obviously as well. We have the rehearsals, and so I give them tips, and they obviously also outside let's say of The Voice often contact me and maybe send me their songs or ask me for opinions or and so I try to help them. And as we said before, I find it for them very difficult because in my time it was although it was very difficult also in my time to make it as a musician, the road was a bit clearer in the sense that you could give good advice in my time, because in my time it was all about you need to play, you need to become a perfect band, so you need to sound very good, not even talking about songwriting or whatever, but you need to sound very tight so that when you play, and you can play because you can play wherever really, so that where you play people will enjoy it, and you have to get your own public. And if you get your own public and you have a fan base, it's just a matter of time until one of those A&Rs who are going around, because at the time the A&Rs, especially in London, Thursday nights was the A&R night, so most people tried to play on Thursdays because that was the day that the A&Rs would go around, especially on Thursdays, to see new bands and stuff. And so you try to invite them, but you'd make sure that you have a lot of people there, because otherwise, and so the more you grew, and it was just mathematical, like, because then you'd get a hype and people would talk about your band and everything. And so then it was just a moment of time until you could send your demos to the record companies, or even better, they would just contact you because they would have seen a gig of yours, they would have heard of yours. So that was easier. Whereas today it's more difficult because obviously you have to try to. Because it's not possible anymore to play as much as it was at the time, you have to do that on the net. But on the internet, there is so much going on, as you said before. that it's really difficult to get your public there. And when people say, "Oh, but it's today, it's so easy. You're just a these influencers, they just go to their favorite restaurant and they post a picture and then they get millions and stuff." Yes, but how many of these, are there that
Exactly.
have tried?
Yeah.
Really not that easy, especially today. Maybe it was easier 10 years ago when it was all starting, but today, so I think, it's very difficult for them. So I do kind of tell them the same kind of thing adapted to today. So they still have to, obviously, it has to be their passion. So they have to write genuine songs if they are songwriters, and otherwise they have to put their product out there, and get a fan base. Because again, it's kind of the same, but that you have to do online, and therefore, shows like The Voice or X Factor or they are not the answer to your musical career. They are, I mean,
Yeah.
yet some people they have, but there again, how many have tried and how many have actually made it? But they can help you in growing a public a little bit quicker, right? So you don't have to do every a cover per week, and after 3 years maybe you have a following. Maybe you can do one cover on TV, and maybe you already will have a following. So it can definitely help you in that way. So yeah, that's what I try to tell them. But yeah, I do feel for them because I think it's more difficult today.
Mhm. But you have the experience, and you have the sort of the insight also. You've been there and you've done that, and so yeah, I think your advice must be for them also very valuable.
Yeah, I hope so. I think so.
Mhm. And I think also we're moving to, again, this what Seth Godin, this marketer in America, talks about, the smallest viable audience. That you have real supporters, that you don't have just numbers, but that you really have real people supporting you. That's maybe the way to go for young people.
I completely agree, and I talked about this with someone the other day who said that even like brands now, they don't really just before they would just look at the numbers. They would just say, okay,
Yeah,
so we'd rather take this one because he has 50,000 rather than this one who has just 20,000, right? Whereas today they actually look for the engagement, and it's much more about the sector that they are in, and if they have. Maybe they even have just 2,000 followers, but they have 2,000 followers who really care. And so, yeah, absolutely. Like it's moving towards hopefully more about quality than quantity. I agree. I hope that's where we're going. I mean, we have to, right? Otherwise, I mean, where is this going? Otherwise,
exactly. And I think we also need that personal connection. We've moved away from it a little bit, and I think people need that. People are wanting that personal connection more.
I think so. I mean, it's like we said, and things also go a little bit in circles, right? I
Yeah,
mean, I think we have the online the internet has now kind of it's become normal, right? It's not really something new. And
exactly.
in
Yeah.
fact, I hope that when my kids will have that age that I don't know, that probably won't be like this, but maybe for them the smartphone is not so exciting. Maybe they don't really want to have it because it's so normal. Like, I mean, everybody has it. Okay,
Exactly.
I have
Yeah.
it as well, but it's not going to
Mhm.
be something where that I spend my days on. I don't know. I do hope so, but at least I hope that it will be more about quality than quantity. And I think you're right. I think we're definitely moving in that direction for sure.
Mhm. But Alex, you've done so much, and you are really doing so much at the moment. But what are still the wishes for you for the future?
To be honest, I like I told you before, for me the like in this home thing, my album's called Home and everything, and I feel that I'm at home when I can do my music. So that's really what I wish for the future, is that I can continue doing my music, living from music and just doing that every day, because I think, I'm not sure, but that might be, at least for me, one of the most important things in life is that it's just that you can. I will never forget when I was younger and I was living in that house, and I remember the Sunday evenings we would, because Sunday evenings we wouldn't play, like that would be the only day where we would never have gigs. And so we would like go back to this house where we all lived together, and we would, or me at least, I would prepare for the week of work, of the work which I didn't like, and so I'd have to iron shirts and stuff like that on Sunday evenings. And I always said to myself, like, I have to sacrifice, every minute that I have, and I have to put everything into when I'm not at work, to make it that my work becomes, the other part. Because I really didn't like, being there and doing that job, which I didn't care about. I didn't care at all. It was just about putting numbers into a screen. I just really didn't like it. And I think that's a huge luxury, if you can get up in the morning and say, I'm going to do what I like today, I think, and I even get paid for it, I think that's one of the most beautiful things in the world. And then obviously there's family, there's children, so I just hope that my family will always be well. These are the things that I wish for myself. And generally I wish that, I mean, this sounds so basic, but I really hope that that people will. The other day, I was talking to a friend who's an actor, and he said that he thinks that acting classes should be part of of school, really, of education.
Yes.
Because what they learn, the actors, is to put themselves into other people, right, and feel like other people. And if we would all do that a little bit more, if we were able to put each other into different positions, and live different lives, even if it's just for a moment, like in one of my songs, only for a minute. Yeah, I think maybe the it sounds super corny and cheesy, but then the world would be a better place, because all the things that are going on. I mean, just if we look, if you watch the news just today, I mean, there's so many conflicts in the world that seem so unnecessary, and I definitely wish that we would do more of that, and just imagine what would it be like to be in the position of these people that have to get up in the morning, and they don't have to worry about work. And maybe for them, putting numbers in a computer would be great, but they have to actually go out and kill someone else. It's just ludicrous to think that in 2020, almost five, we are still in situations like that. That I really wish that for the future that we get better at at imagining what other people go through and preventing that to happen.
Well, I'm going to add to that wish, because really I believe, and this is part of why I do this project, is that my wish is that children have the possibility in school to do all forms of art alongside maths and sciences, and that art is an integral part of education. Because I believe, like you say, children who can express themselves through art, or who can at least appreciate then what art is, will be so much more in life. They can, these are all transferable skills into other jobs as well. And I actually spoke to a few young pupils of a school, students of a school, who takes art, and it was for me unbelievable at that age how they could already see the advantages of why taking art as a subject could be applied to things that they were doing. And I think just only one or two of them wanted to become actors, but the rest just could see how these skills could be applied to other things that they were going to do. And I thought, wow, at the age of 16, they already have that open mind to understand that. And I thought, what an advantage for them to be able to do drama or even art, or music, anything like that, and in school, that would benefit people or children so much, and make them, like you say, all-round people, or people who can have empathy, people who can see the other side of things, or so yeah, I'm adding to your wish, absolutely.
Completely agree.
Alex, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. It's been a
This
pleasure.
was a wonderful conversation. I know exactly now why I had to speak to you. And I must say to you that your song Home really resonated with me
Thank you.
and does. And it totally, it totally touched me.
Thank you so much. It was a real pleasure to talk to you. And thank you for that. I really appreciate it.
If you try and you're living it up, don't know why, but you're keeping it up. You go on, you're alive, you belong. You're the one and you know where you're from. If you fall, but you always get up. You stand tall, you're not giving it up. Don't waste it, don't throw this away. Soon I will be right here with you, right here with you. Do you know where we're going? We're going home. This is home. Because home's where your heart is, and my heart is home. Home with you. If you die, but it's only a birth, realize why you put.
Ciao. 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 В последнее время ты очень отвлекаешься. Что у тебя происходит?
Ты и сама знаешь.
Я думаю об этом тоже каждый день. Мне не хватает солнца, которое было у тебя внутри. Попробуй, найди его снова. Хотя бы когда танцуешь. Тебя подвезти?
Нет, я останусь еще ненадолго.
Тогда жду тебя в ужин.